Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into some of the rarest and most incredible historical photos you've probably never seen before. Stick around, because each photo we uncover tells a story that time tried to erase, but we're bringing it back. Raphael Lemkin, right, with Ambassador Amado of Brazil, left, before a plenary session of the General Assembly at which the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide was approved. Palais de Chaillot, Paris, December 11, 1948. Two Apsaroki Native Americans on horseback, outside of a teepee in a snow-covered forest in Montana in 1908. Mother and Children, Spain, 1920s. Photo by Antonia Rissa. Passengers on a NYC municipal ferry, Staten Island, in 1895, Library of Congress. G is of the 104th Infantry Division Timberwolves, with M1 carbines in a position on the front lines near Stolberg, Germany, November 1944. Vespa family, 1950s. Roof, Latin Quarter, Paris, 1926. By André Kertész. A Sunday morning in North Aurora, Illinois Kodachrome slide taken by Clifford R. Illies, 1951. German WW1 veteran Hans Lange holds a portrait of himself as a 19-year-old in 1918. Born in 1899, Hans was wounded by a grenade during the war, gradually losing his sight. This photo was taken in 1998. Hans passed away in 1999. In 1948, a photographer in Chicago captured young siblings huddled next to a sign reading, "For children for sale, inquire within." The image sparked outrage and skepticism, but it depicted a very real situation. The children would be sold off one by one, and some ended up in extremely abusive homes. Barcelona, 1955, photo by Ramon Massats. San Francisco, Chinatown, early 1950s. This 1890 photo from the Michigan Carbon Works factory in Rougeville shows a massive pile of bison skulls, which were set to be processed into products like bone glue, fertilizer, bone ash, bone char, and bone charcoal. Rescuing a horse that fell in the canal, Amsterdam, 1929. Trollhättan, Sweden in the early 1900s. 5.8 inches of snow. This is a view looking down from 121st Street on 8th Avenue on the day after the big snowfall of 1947. The ruins of the city center of Kaliningrad, Königsberg, and the Königsberg Castle after the British air raids. Canoeists in a boat cave, Wisconsin Dells, circa 1890 to 95. Photo by Henry Hamilton Bennett. Members of the German Student Union, organized by the Nazi Party, parade in front of the Institute for Sexualwissenschaft, Institute for Sexual Science, May 6, 1933. After the Nazis gained control of Germany in the 1930s, the institute and its libraries were destroyed. View of the Pyramids, Eclipse of the Sun of August 30, 1905, by Gabriel Lakijian. The passing of the train, Nailsworth, at Dudbridge on 23 August 1965. Budapest, 1963. From the Budapest Municipal Photography Company Archive. Amsterdam, 1901. By Bern Eilers. Manfred von Richthofen and his brother Lothar, also a high-scoring German aerial ace. Manfred had 80 aerial victories, Lothar had 40. The future Queen Elizabeth II being carried up the steps of Balmoral Castle in 1927. The Emden, legendary German raider in the First World War, just after her final defeat and surrender on November 9, 1914. Crash landing of a U.S. Navy Grumman F-6F-3 Hellcat aboard the USS Enterprise into the carrier's portside 20mm guns. Lieutenant Walter Tuning, Jr., is seen climbing up the plane's side to assist the pilot from the burning aircraft. Pilot Byron Johnson escaped without injury. 1943. A young Andre the Giant posing with 10 dancers. Lincoln Cathedral, From the Castle, 1898, by Frederick H. Evans. A police officer playing Duck, Duck, Goose with children in New York, 1970. A Red Army doctor examines survivors of Auschwitz after Soviet troops liberated the camp in January 1945. Mother and Child and It's a Typical Day, San Francisco, 1952. By Dorothea Lange. German military chaplains, including Franz Justus Rarkowski, the Catholic field bishop of the Wehrmacht, seen in front with the large cross and trench coat after a church service in France, 1943. All the war propaganda, all the screaming, lies, and hatred always comes from people who will not go to that war. George Orwell. Battery-powered scooter from 1918. U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt shakes hands with a young Lyndon B. Johnson, while Texas Governor James Allred stands between them in Galveston, Texas, on May 12, 1937. Captured Viet Cong soldier, tied and blindfolded in a stress position at Thuong Duc Camp during the Vietnam War, 1967. Battery-powered scooter from 1918. The wooden Sibley Breaker, Pennsylvania, built in 1886 and destroyed by fire in 1906. Arab pioneer youth, participating in the Third Shomria Convention in Haifa, 1956. A picture taken by my German ancestor, the enemy Russians standing over their trench, World War I Eastern Front, 1917. Winter landscape from Herstedvester. Pillermörk Münster, 1923. Winter landscape from Herstedvester, Petermörk Münstead. The SS Princess May was a steamship built in 1888. The ship is best known for grounding in 1910, which left the ship sticking completely out of the water. This is one of the most famous shipwreck photographs. Men run from an exploding balloon at Post Field, Fort Sill, Oklahoma on April 2, 1918. Budapest, 1914. Photo by André Kertész. An unidentified woman taking a selfie, circa 1900. A Swiss soldier mans an army outpost in the High Alps, where the war fighting between the Austrians and the Italians can be observed. 1918. Wentworth Street in London's East End in 1908. Miroslav Filipovich Majstorovic Center poses with two Ustasa guards at the Jasenovac concentration camp. Barber and Beauty Shop, Bedrock City, RTS 64 and 180, Valley, Arizona, 1987. Mother's Touch, Kentucky, 1960. Photo by Warren Brunner. Roman Bridge, Mosul, Iraq, 1930s. Photo by Oral Stein. Doolittle Raiders outside the shelter where they hid after crash landing in China, April 1942. Welsh spiritualist Colin Evans feigns levitation by jumping up and down in total darkness and filming himself with an infrared camera. Photo taken in London, 1939. 53rd Street and 7th Avenue, Manhattan, 1957. Piccadilly Circus, London, 1954. By Cecil Beaton. Civil rights activists, freedom riders are beaten up by a mob after attempting a sit-in, Birmingham, Alabama, 14th of May, 1961. The Sagrada Familia, Barcelona, in 1905. Ice Skating at Night in Vienna, 1910, by Emil Meyer. Boys of the Hitler Youth After a Blessing by Karl Temmel, an evangelical pastor and president of the Central Committee for the Inner Mission, as well as the director of the Evangelical Church Book Office in Berlin. Temmel also worked for the Reich Office for Genealogical Research. From the Back Window, New York, 1915, by Alfred Stieglitz. English soldier rescues a little girl from the ruins of her home after a series of aerial bombings. London, World War II, July 30th, 1944. View from Notre Dame, Paris, 1955, by Ernst Haas. School buildings in the YMCA Camp for Palestinian Children are tents that have been patched and mended for years. Jordan Valley, Jordan, 1952. Angie Means stands on a giant Amazonian water lily pad, Victoria Regia, in the Victoria Room at Pittsburgh's Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in 1898. Testing the new invention, the automatic parachute, from the Eiffel Tower. A test dummy hangs from the parachute. France, Paris, February 23, 1911. Tower Bridge under construction, London, 1889. Shakespeare's birthplace before restoration, photographed in 1850. Father and Son, Italy, 1962. Photo by Elio Caiol. Soviet officers examining the German tank Panzer Kampfwagen, V Panther, July 1943. Selling chocolates and sweets on the street Kensington, London, 1930. Dublin, c. 1896. Photo by John J. Clark. A large crowd watches the first balloon rise in a balloon race in Berlin, Germany in 1908. Relaxing by a pool in California, 1940, by J. Baylor Roberts. 17-year-old Pele in Sweden before the World Cup in 1958. Lecco, Italy, 1968. Photo by Paolo Monti. Glasgow, Scotland, 1980. Photo by Raymond Depardon. Sweden, 1966. Photo by Suna Jansson. Getting some ice cream, Times Square, New York City, 1982. Lunchtime, Paris, 1920s.